Hello. Hi, I'm Jane Grant from AMU. I'm the co-founder and director. We specialise in R&D tax credits, R&D funding for businesses. I've also got my colleague Iain. Iain.
Hello, my name's Iain Robertson. I'm Business Development Manager for AMU, and I spend most of my time talking with companies about R&D tax credit funding.
Yeah, just change the view here so we've got the two of us. That's great. So what we're going to do is this video is all about why you should not apply for R&D tax credits. Now this is really important and we need to get this message across. What we're going to do is Iain's going to play the bad guy, and
okay, I can do that. I can do that.
And I'm going to play the good lady. So Iain, why shouldn't businesses apply for R&D?
I think as a company, you're quite right to be a bit suspicious about R&D tax credits. After all, you know, are HMRC going to give you money? Why would they do that? This sounds too good to be true. Why would you trust a scheme? It's surely just another PPI scheme. Surely it's another kind of tax scam, and at some point they're going to come after you.
That's not true. Yeah, I agree, because there's a lot of businesses out there that will just, what they're doing is they're constantly phoning people. People have, they're constantly trying to put pressure on people to engage with them. They tie them in for 2 or 3 years as well, when they do eventually sign up for R&D, and they understand that they do qualify for it. But no, it's important that you get a professional R&D company to undertake this, not to put you under pressure, but basically to allow you to go through the process, hold your hand through the process, trust that company, and be happy with the claim and sign it off before it goes.
But that's all very well. But on the other hand, I don't do any R&D. You know, we're just an ordinary company. We make things, we deliver things. We don't sit around all day in a laboratory in white coats looking at clever screens and doing sort of clever biochemistry. We're just an ordinary company. We just make things.
This is what we've got, you know, and we understand why you don't want to claim R&D, because that is generally what everybody thinks. But what R&D is about taking a small step forward, taking that small step forward and looking at how you're improving this, or it could be a piece of machinery, a new piece of machinery that you've got, and you want to increase the efficiency, the production, the output associated with it. It could be a piece of software. So what we tend to find is that you're looking at it from a white coat. Yes, we look at it from a white coat standpoint, but it's not. It's about changes that you make in your business that you are challenged with on a day-to-day basis. And that, in essence, is R&D. You're moving your business forward. Another point to raise as well is that when we look at it and we look at where the UK is, and particularly Scotland, I've got a wonderful graph that I would love to share with you. And what it shows is that what we've got at the moment is, because people see that, no, I've not got any R&D, I'm not white coat, I'm not into technology, I'm not a large company. What we see is that if we look at all the countries in the world and the R&D that they invest in, Scotland is at the bottom. And HMRC want to give you this money. They want to give you this money. They're sitting with a multi-million-pound pot, and they're keen. We've only got about 10 to 20% are actually taking the money or applying for the money, because they think that it's not for them, or it's another PPI scam, or they don't want to mess with HMRC.
Okay, so I've listened to what you said. Maybe I have got some R&D, but I did all this all year ago, 2 years ago. How can I prove what I've done? You know, yes, I did it. I spent a lot of time on what you say is R&D. A lot of my staff spent a lot of time on it. We've used a lot of materials on it. I don't have timesheets for all this. I don't have lists of what materials were used to do prototypes or any of that. And secondly, I don't have days to sit down with somebody like yourself and spend my time going through some time-consuming exercise to try and pull out this information from the past. It's all history.
No, I understand that, and I sympathise with it. We have got a wonderful process. It's software-based. We sit down with you for an initial half hour to tease out some to see if there's a qualifying project. And we have a piece of software. We sit down with you for 2 hours, ask all the right questions, and we go away and do all the work in the background for you. HMRC allow you to go back. They don't need any timesheets. They allow you to go back and say, okay, as long as you're reasonable and you come back and say, okay, well, I think that my staff spent about 10% of their time on that specific project, and we'll go through and we'll help you with that. But HMRC allow for that. They allow for you to go back and say, okay, well, I didn't know I was doing R&D at this time, so let's make an estimate around that. As long as it's reasonable, it's acceptable from an HMRC standpoint, and that's part of, it's not as black and white as normal tax, where normal tax is black and white, you calculate it. R&D, you go back, and the HMRC guidance allows you to go back and say, okay, well, it was about such and such, and we're happy, and we definitely want to submit a reasonable claim for you, and we don't want to overstate it.
I've one other problem, and the problem is that we did a really good piece of R&D work some time ago, but frankly, it didn't work. We had to just abandon it in the end. We wasted loads of time, loads of money, and it just didn't work. So presumably, if it's a failure, it's not R&D.
Well, it's very good of you to bring that up, Iain. I appreciate it. What we've had a number of clients, there was one client that almost went bust because of the investment of their staff, the time and the cost associated with a project that failed. It was a piece of software. They brought the wrong consultants in order to write the software for them, and it pulled on all the resources, and we managed to get a significant amount of money for them and go back over the 2 years for this failed project, and it didn't work. They didn't go back for it, and it really helped bolster that company back up again.
Okay, so you've managed to answer all my questions, which I'm really impressed by. Well done. I'm still suspicious. So what would I do? Still suspicious, but slightly more convinced. What would I do to move this forward from this point, Jane?
What we can do is we can sit down with you and we can go into what R&D is. So there's a small 15-20 minute presentation, and we'll go in and we'll go through and explain at a very basic level what R&D is and how it might look in your business, and show you some case studies that we've got. So we'll look at if there's any potential project within that.
Okay, thanks. That's been really helpful. Thank you very much.
Hi, and I hope you enjoyed why you shouldn't apply for R&D. It just shows you that going through all that and answering all your questions, that it's really vital that you get an R&D expert that's a professional and someone that you can trust and work with through the whole process, so that you're happy and comfortable with submitting the R&D claim. Thank you. Bye.